Hello everybody, it's Fight Club Hobbs. Welcome to another wonderful episode of GVN Live, and we got another single topic show today. With me today is Jamelian, Gamer Keith, and Mark B. Writing.
What's up?
How's everybody doing? We'll start with Gamer Keith, but down below. How you doing, bro?
Yo, how's it going, everybody? So far everything is pretty good. I've been playing a lot of Splatoon, and if anybody has noticed, I'm in Rapture right now. It's very lovely underneath the sea, as you can see. Very, very lovely. It is the 10th anniversary, so I figured, I'll go to Rapture today. Been playing a lot of Splatoon 2 lately. That's been a lot of fun, and other than that, not been a whole lot of gaming activity, so to say.
Okay, so that's good. No more Zelda?
Well, I still play Zelda, but right now I'm like in the Zelda, like how much more do I have to fucking go, and like where should I go next, sort of thing. Because I mean, Zelda Breath of the Wild is so effing huge, and that's exactly what she said. That I
not
just
to
don't
you.
know. Yeah. Oh, butt scratcher, womp womp. But anyway, it's just so large that I don't know what to do next, and it's like I kind of want to just get my final Divine Beast out of the way, but I don't know if I should find some more shrines or if I should do the extra quest for the DLC. I have no idea, so I'm a little overwhelmed with Zelda at the second, so that's why I've been like zoning out with Splatoon 2, because it's literally point, shoot, put your paint everywhere. I was going to say load, but no. Anyway.
That's going to be one of those episodes, huh?
Absolutely. But,
okay.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing. So I return it back to you, sir.
Emily, what have you been doing, miss?
Well, last weekend was Summer Jam 11, so I was working that, and I was in New Jersey all weekend. That was fun. It was a good time. This week has been post-events, so, well, I guess... Wait, is it Monday?
Yes.
It is Monday.
You're that tired that you forgot what day it was?
Usually that's when we stream.
So last weekend was not Summer Jam. The weekends before was. I'm sorry.
Okay, I think Emily needs a vacation.
All right. So last weekend, which was literally like yesterday and the day before, not Summer Jam. The weekend before it was Summer Jam. That weekend I was in New Jersey. So this past week, not this week, this past week, like last week, was a lot of follow-up. I'm still doing follow-up from Summer Jam, and I'm also prepping for TFC, and then I had to push out last week the NE Northeast Championships 18 page. So it's work. Woo! You know, work keeps going. So we have lots of fun events still coming up. The Fall Classic is at the end of September in North Carolina. We got the Broad Street Battle, so I'm keeping busy. Lots and lots of work for the rest of this year. On top of that, game-wise, I'm playing Tekken 7, which I'm still playing, but I haven't been able to play as much the past week since Summer Jams because there's just a lot of like work and stuff going on. I also have been playing Animal Crossing. I got that recently. I surprisingly like it better than I thought I was going to like it. I am planning on getting the new Sonic Mania game, but I haven't gotten it yet for the Switch.
You don't have it yet?
I was waiting till I got paid on Friday, and I
don't know you anymore.
Oh, well, you know, sometimes my bills have to come first, Rob, and then I get rewarded with games.
What's with these bills that you speak of? We all have these bills.
We all have bills. Just go donate a kidney or give up some blood.
I'm gonna keep my kidneys. I
mean, you can literally pay a mortgage now. You can pay off a mortgage with a kidney, so.
I don't know if I can survive, honestly, with that, with like one kidney. I might not.
Yeah. Black market kidneys are
That's scary. Anyway, I'm
Anyway.
surprisingly going to be the person that's going to stay on topic, this time around. So, yeah, those are the games I'm playing. I've been planning on getting Sonic Mania. I haven't gotten it yet, but I will be getting it, Rob. I'm also trying to actually save money because there's a bunch of games that I want coming out in September and October and November and December, all that I pre-ordered. So some of it is also me trying to save my money.
Hoard it, if you will. Hoard it towards games.
I'm attempting to
The
save it
holiday
so that I
season's
can
coming
hoard
up.
it.
There's no such thing as saving your money.
Nah, this is true.
It's
Yeah.
called trying. There's a distinct difference between actually saving it and trying. And if you heard my words, I said I'm trying to save my
not.
money.
No.
I was, and
There
then
will
I
be
saw
no
how
try.
cool Sonic Mania was, so now I have to buy that. But you know,
Do or do not.
There is no try.
Jinx.
I
Oh my
finished
God.
it. You
All right.
didn't.
yeah. So
Fair
I'm playing fighting games, and I'm working a lot, and I want to get Sonic Mania, and I've been playing Animal Crossing, and yeah, okay, that's me right now.
All right. Thank you very much, Mark.
A little disheveled, but I'm functioning.
Well, at least you're here, and you remembered that today was.
Did you say somebody put a shovel in your butt?
What?
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 Oh, the comments just keep getting weirder and weirder today.
I am so confused right now. It's not
Yes,
even
that's
fun.
why we're going to continue. So, Mark, what have you been up to lately?
I think, when was the last time we had a show?
2 weeks ago.
Monday.
2 weeks ago.
That
Not
would have
last
been
week,
the
but the week
7th.
before.
That would have been, yes, the 7th.
Only went to Phantom of the Opera.
That sounds fun. How was it?
I mean, it's Phantom of the Opera. You know, you're kind of in the position where you got to know what you're getting into when you go to Broadway in general and the Phantom of the Opera in specific. They set stuff on fire, so that was fun.
Okay.
Keith just
what's
had
going
a computer freeze.
Okay,
He-
that happens. He'll be back.
on? He literally commented freeze. Here, I thought I was the one with the computer problems. What were you saying, Mark?
They set stuff on fire, so that was fun.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah, I mean, if you've never been to a Broadway show,
I've been to a
It's-
Broadway show.
then, you know, if you've never been to Phantom of the Opera but you've been to a Broadway show, but it's, you know, there's a certain degree of, okay, this is fine, but if you've never been to a Broadway show, I strongly recommend it as the first,
All right.
just because it's well structured, well put together. It's not the best written, but I
Well,
kind
compared
of
to the
think
book, I
that
heard
might
it was
be.
flawed.
Well, I mean, the book is fucking terrible too. Let's be 100% honest. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's like it's basically a case of the book is bad, the musical is badly written, but it's incredibly well put together and presented. If you want to go to something that has good writing, I mean, let's be honest, you're probably not going to a Broadway musical at that point in general because, you know, you don't go to musicals for writings as such. But if
I mean,
you
I
want the
can
experience,
I can argue some of that as somebody who grew up, you know, on Broadway. Writing is really important in that regard.
I mean, for plays, yes. For musicals, not really. Like,
Yeah, I mean, you know, when I think of writing, I think not just, you know, the actual like conversations, but the songs as well.
well, sure, but I'm
lyrics,
talking about narrative writing, not necessarily the
the story
song.
writing. Well, the
Right,
story is
I'm talking
important.
about. Yeah, but the story in Phantom of the Opera is kind of fucking dumb and terrible.
Well,
But anyway, shall we move on
I
back to the
mean, I
gaming
can
aspect
think
of this whole
people that
conversation?
would disagree, but yeah. Well, you asked what he was doing,
I did,
and
but
that's what he did. He saw Phantom of the Opera.
I'm
It's
sure.
it's very basic. We'll say that. Like, I can enjoy it for what it is, but it is very basic. But like, I mean, it's not the worst thing out there. I mean, you know, Rent exists, and
Hey, I actually liked Rent.
I'm sorry you like bad things.
It was not bad.
All right, you know what? I'll give you this. I will give you this. if you are part of one of the affected communities at the time
Welcome
where
back.
Rent came out in the 80s, or you empathize with one of the affected communities
Oh, come on,
from
man.
when Rent came out as it relates to, you know, the LGBT community and the AIDS crisis and things like that.
I can't say that I can. But I like
you enjoy laughing at the fact that Mark is an entitled asshole.
Well, no. Okay, but my reasons for liking Rent is because, one, it was real. It took actual real life situations and told a story and linked it all together. But two, it had a very important message by the end of it.
So I feel like I entered the really intense part.
My
of the
reasons for liking it have nothing to do with whether or not I specifically relate to the specific people in it. No, I'm not, a lesbian or bi, and I don't have AIDS or any of that. I can't 100% relate to that. But, and I didn't live in, New York on, where they lived, but still, they're all real life situations that actually happened because Jonathan Larson was trying to make a point and to give across a certain message. So I feel like the musical Rent goes.
I don't mean to cut the conversation short, but
message.
let's.
No, I was just.
I know, but we got to get back.
Well, I want to know what Mark has to say back to that.
Well, we can talk about that after the show.
Okay, whatever.
Okay. So anything
How about
related,
Mom?
Mark?
No, I
Thank
can.
you, thank you, Dreamy Warrior. Thank you,
I
Dreamy Warrior.
What the
He's
heck
am going
is
to link
going
you.
on?
He's
I
pushing.
am going to I am going to link a video by Lindsay Ellis. If you can get through the 45 minutes of that, and you have any objections to what she said about Rent, by all means. At that point, come back and message me, and we can have a discussion about it offline. But everything she says right there is literally how I feel about Rent as a thing that exists. And rather than taking up 45 minutes of the show, I would rather just direct you to a thing that already exists and talk about video games. Anyway, so
You just walked into us debating Broadway musicals. Don't worry, Keith.
it happens. Anyway, beyond going to Rent, I went to the Grounds for Sculpture in Central Jersey, which
You went to Rent? I thought it was Phantom of the Opera.
I went to Phantom of the Opera. Yes, I went to Phantom of the Opera. Rent isn't even going at this point. But yeah, I went to the Grounds for Sculpture in Central Jersey, which was very nice. There are a lot of Pokestops, if that is the thing that you were into.
Woo! I might be.
And I got a Switch.
Yay!
Now, just out of sheer curiosity, because I was looking at our conversation that we were having on this one. Like, what prompted you to buy this? Like, clearly you
Amazon
already
had
made
it.
up your mind. But
Amazon had it.
Okay.
He just
Okay,
like, oh, they
good
have
answer.
it for sale. Click.
Listen, I was having this conversation with Hamish Black, where we were talking about PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is coming to Xbox One, and I said, I'm glad that I hope that they eventually make it available to play on multiple consoles, because I'm probably going to end up playing that at some point or another.
Mhm.
And Nico Blakely from the Writing on Gamescast responded with, "Oh, I'm glad your opinion has come around on PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds." And I said, No, you don't understand. Just because I acknowledge I'm going to end up playing that fucking thing doesn't mean I have any fucking interest in doing that whatsoever. It's like going to a it's like going to a Motley Crue. No, it's like going to a Genesis concert because you want to hear In the Air Tonight.
Okay.
I have to accept that I'm gonna fucking hear Susudio eventually. And I don't want to do it, but I know I really want to fucking hear In the Air Tonight, so it's just a thing I'm gonna put up with.
Studio.
I know that a lot of people are going to end up getting games on the Switch that they're going to want me to play with them, or there's going to be a game that's going to come out eventually that I'm going to want for the Switch, like a lot. So it's like, they had it available, I bought it. Like, I'm not enthusiastic about it, but
Well,
I know there will be a game I really, really want to play eventually, so I might as well get it when it's available.
I just thought that you would not get it within this year is more of like my shocking. Like I knew you would get it eventually because, like you said, there would be something that would draw your attention to it. I thought that draw your attention had come, so I was like, "Holy hell! What drew Mark's attention at the second? Like, what am I like missing out on?" More or less, trying to say.
Okay.
But clearly it was just like, oh, it's available. Oh, I'm going to do it down the line. Might as well do it now. So I respect it. I just thought maybe there was a grand story, if you will.
Nope, Amazon had it. That's
Okay.
had it available for Prime users, and I was like, I'm a Prime user. I should buy this.
Wow, apparently I created this whimsical story in my head, and it was just, it was available. It's like never meet your hero sort of thing.
I apologize for this in advance, but that's the same reason I fucked your mom, so...
Wow.
Oh my god.
Okay. It can only go
then.
downhill from here, people.
Wow! Got him!
God
Got him.
damn!
See what I deal with, Dreamy Warrior?
Oh, okay. She wants to go there.
I'm just saying.
Uh-huh. Yep.
These guys had me believe we were actually talking about boobs this episode.
Hey, don't cut ahead. Wait until I
Too
start the
late.
show. Oh, well,
at the end of the day, I also got Mario Kart, Blaster Master, and Splatoon 2. Splatoon 2, J Rose recommended. I honestly have yet to boot it up, but Mario Kart I knew would be very good. And Blaster Master came very highly recommended, not just from J Rose and Mr. Robert Hubbs, of course, but it also came quite well recommended from Bofa.
all right. Well, so now that you finally got a Switch, and hopefully they got some games for you to play eventually, besides Blaster Master, I say let's move on to tonight's topic of conversation. How do I do this? Boobs! No.
It's not.
Yeah.
No, it's not actually about boobs.
But yes,
And
that's
I'm
right,
only
ladies
going
and
in there
gentlemen.
saying this
Jugs,
because
cans,
for the whole
knockers,
week-
bongos.
For the whole week, I thought
titties,
it was.
we are
I was
not
just trying
talking
to prep
about that.
myself.
Can I talk?
Yeah, I appreciate your attempt at levity, Robert, but we live in a world where people would actually think that we're talking about, breastises.
Yes, thank you. It's very easy. Just say, this week's topic is going to be about idiots in video games.
See? But that's me trying to do marketing. Trying to lure in the stupid, horny 15-year-old boys who are on Twitch.
Because
Hey,
clearly
this
they
guy
would
is
watch
talking
us for
about
2 seconds,
boobs.
say that
Let's
we're fucking
go
boring,
see what
and
it's
then
about. Maybe
Exactly.
I'll have their interest
We
for
don't know
5
what
minutes.
15-year-olds want. We haven't been 15 for 20 years.
Wow.
that old.
How old do you think I am?
I meant him and me.
You're just assuming everything today, Emily. Oh, my.
You know what
I'm
happens
assuming
when you
Emily
assume?
hasn't
You make
been-
an ass
How
out of
am
you.
I?
Assuming
How
Emily
am
hasn't
I?
been 15 for like 10 years.
How am I assuming everything when he just said we haven't been 15 in 20 years? He's referring to everybody here. That's
No,
collective
I'm just
we.
talking about him and me in particular. I'm assuming you're like 25 and Keith is like, I don't know, 22 or something.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm older
Keith,
than that.
you are a very handsome 22-year-old.
Clearly.
I'll
Oh,
take,
Robert and I are on the good side of 40 right now.
I'll
Yeah.
take the
Meaning-
nice
yeah.
25. but,
Anyway,
no.
tonight's topic at hand is, it's not boobs. It's the
Boobs.
nickname for boobs, which is idiots,
Idiots
in case
video
most people...
games. Just say that.
Pain in the asses. Turkeys. Jerks of the world.
Thank you,
Us.
Keith. Us, yes. We're all a bunch of boobs. So anyway, we're going to be talking about the idiots of the game of the video game world, and we have so many different kinds that we'd like to talk about. I do have a list of some, about a good 15 or so right here that we could talk about. I mean, there's definitely also, different types
Would
of
you kindly?
idiots. Yes. There are different types of idiots in the gaming world. I mean, there's guys who are just idiots by nature, and then there's idiots by coincidence, I would say.
I want to specify that we're referring to video game characters
I know, we kind of
and not
established that
video
5
game
times.
players.
We established that at least 5 times now, thank you. So let's start off with a few of these obvious ones, and we'll just talk about them and just talk about what makes them so wonderful. Let's start off with one of Mark's favorites. Mark's favorite idiots. Let's talk about Dan Hibiki from the Street Fighter franchise. Would you like to go first, Mark?
Oh, damn.
I mean, Dan
Did you just say who I think you did?
Yes. Dan
Oh
Hibiki.
my God! That's one thing me and Mark could get along with. Dan is such a stupid kid. Oh,
Let's
I'm
let
sorry,
Mark
go
talk
ahead.
first.
I'm sorry, Mark. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Ostensibly created originally as just a parody of Ryo Hazaki, Dan is special in the kind of way that
Yellow
is
bus.
meant to be insulting, but not necessarily to somebody's face. I don't even know where to begin with Dan. The fact that he practices his father's fighting style, which is a fighting style that is meant to be utterly ineffectual. The fact that he thinks he's a great martial artist because, like, he accidentally beat Sagat at one point. Or the fact that even in, like, a Shin mode, he's still just a complete goddamn waste of fucking effort. I love Dan as a character, but Jesus Christ, he is so fucking stupid.
But at the same time, he's a lovable, stupid idiot, right?
No.
Oh no, absolutely
No.
not. Dan is in no way meant to
he's
be
not.
a likable character. Dan is generally presented as being the sort of he's basically Street Fighter's version of Enzo Amore. He's not only stupid, but he's the sort of person who believes his stupidity. Like, he 100% believes all of the shit that he's slinging. And it's like, you have to give the man credit for having that kind of faith in himself. But my God, okay.
We actually taught him wrong. It was more of a joke, if anything.
Now let's talk about another one. Probably one that has created countless memes on his own. Let's talk about Slippy Toad from Star Fox. Keith, you want to talk about him?
Not really.
Yes, well, you shall.
Well, Slippy Toad, I mean, pretty much is, he's Slippy. What can I freaking say? He always has something that has absolutely no pertinence to the conversation whatsoever. I just keep on going on and on for this. It's just, I don't know. I just don't freaking like him. Not as bad as Peppy, but, like, if anything, he's just annoying.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, he's supposed to be part of an elite flying squadron of fighter pilots in space. One of
And he's a
like
toad.
4, and yeah. Besides the fact that he's a toad, he's constantly getting himself surrounded. Constantly has to be rescued. He's constantly screaming in your ear, "Save my ass!" He doesn't really do anything useful. He's just there to make your life just that much more problematic.
Well, at least he's thankful. He's like, gee, thanks, Fox.
No, I did not give up on Willie on the Sega CD Dreamy Warrior, but yeah, we'll talk about that type of idiot later on as well. Other idiots. Let's talk about let's talk about a couple from the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise. Let's talk about Knuckles, Echidna, and Dr. Robotnik himself. Knuckles Echidna. I'll talk about him real quick. He's an idiot that has not once but twice has been duped by Dr. Robotnik to go up against Sonic the Hedgehog. Don't ask me why he's such a freaking idiot in that regards, that you can just get fooled twice like that by the villain of the game. And then you got Dr. Robotnik, who countless times, despite how incredibly smart he is, has had robots revolt against him, couldn't create devices at all or any robots whatsoever to defeat just a single hedgehog. Constantly, enlists the aid of, let's say, mythical beings and have them turn on him. It's like he doesn't seem to get that maybe some of his plans just aren't going to work out. Like, he doesn't think them through all the way, despite being considered like one of the smartest people alive with like a 300 plus IQ or whatever. Emily, what do you think of them?
Of which one? Of all of them?
Well, Knuckles or Dr. Robotnik.
I want to know what makes you think that Knuckles is a boob or so. It sounds more like a tragic character versus a boob.
Have you?
Yeah.
Like,
Knuckles is generally presented in all of the media where he's given a voice as being not the smartest person. I would say that he is physically effective in combat, but brains is not meant to be his strong suit in any
So he's-
capacity.
Nope.
So you're saying he's like Hodo?
Yeah,
pretty-
but
He's all
like,
brawn, no brain.
I just feel like if I'm looking at Knuckles compared to Dan from Street Fighter, Dan is the biggest idiot in the world. He trumps Knuckles.
Yeah, but
I
then
was
you got to
gonna say
remember
Tingle,
he's
if
able to
anything.
convince other idiots to join his dojo.
Okay, to be fair, we're talking about he convinced like Sakura and Blanca. Blanca
Thank you.
has been
Thank
living.
you. Can we talk about Blanca for
Man
a second?
eats-
Like, seriously, come on.
The man eats bananas.
Has been living in the jungle for like 20 years. Like I don't necessarily think that he's like, the dumbest of the dumb so much as he is just somebody who was never put into a position where he was capable of learning anything beyond punch face, and we'll see who gets hit the hardest. And I'm 90% certain Sakura does not believe Dan's bullshit, but she's mostly just there because somebody needs to teach her how to fight. And it's not like you're getting a lot of people who are actively trying to learn you in the ways of punch face in the Street Fighter tournaments. Most of the people getting
Right.
involved with them are already at the point where they know punch face and they're not interested in picking up somebody. It's not like Dan is convincing smart people to join him. He's convincing a teenager who's probably just there because she's bored, and a guy who's been living in the jungle.
Exactly.
She
Yeah.
probably
Like,
convince at least one of them that I know martial arts.
and like, sure, Knuckles isn't the smartest in the world, but he's not Dan.
I don't know. How hard is it for you to have the mastermind villain, supposed mastermind villain of whatever the world that Mobius, convince you twice to go after Sonic the Hedgehog? After one, you see him betray you and try to steal your island's giant Chaos Emerald, and then he does it again later on to
Okay.
release a giant
Yeah,
entity known as
but-
Chaos.
But like, I'm trying to think of how to word this. But like,
Knuckles is
mistakes.
very devoted to the security of his people and his island and whatnot. The fact that he is guileless does not necessarily make him inherently stupid. Like, he ultimately still tries to believe in the fundamental good of people to the point where it costs him issues because
Yeah,
he
I
wants
mean-
to protect his people.
What I was going to essentially say, which was similar to what he was saying, was, some people give second chances and want to try again to believe in something. And, I feel like Knuckles is one of those characters where he always tries to see the good in people. Even if someone burns him once, he's like, well, they can change, and they burn him twice. He goes, okay, maybe they can change, and sure, that might make him seem like not the smartest character in the world, but do I need to bring up Dan again when Dan learns from nothing? Dan is just dumb.
If anything,
Dumb
Dan
altogether.
isn't exactly dumb so much as he's very gullible. And if you look at the
He's
storyline of
retarded.
Street Fighter, Sagat actually just lost to him on purpose because he just felt really sad for the guy. So, if anything, that probably did more harm than good in terms of Dan, thinking of whatever's going on in his head. So I would say it's not completely all of Dan's fault for being the idiot that he is. He had an
No,
enabler.
it's completely Dan's fault for being an idiot for what he does. If anything-
Exactly. Have you not seen his cheesy smile and his stupid pink outfit? Please, he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing when he
he
chose the
knows
color
that he
pink.
sucked, but he
Yeah,
just tried to
exactly. When he
compensate.
chose the color pink, he knew what he was doing. When he put that stupid pink outfit on and that stupid cheesy freaking smile, he knew what he was doing.
I think Dreamy Warrior's right. If anything, I would consider Tails more so of the boob in Sonic the Hedgehog versus Knuckles, just because what the fuck does Tails do? Like, he's just literally, it's all
Tails
like
is an inventor.
he's fucking Boy Wonder. I mean, that's all it is. It's kind of like his second fiddle, honestly.
Yeah, but he's an inventor. He made the plane that Sonic flies around on. He's made all kinds of other inventions to help Sonic out with various things. He's supposed to be in the same general wheelhouse intelligence-wise as
Oh,
Dr.
cute.
Robotnik.
Okay, all right, then fair enough.
and he's only, 8 years old is what they say he is in canon?
I don't remember exactly what his age is supposed to be. I
See,
am
had no idea
I am not a
about this
person
dude.
who wants to see Sonic the Hedgehog's taint. So You can
I
imagine that I probably
know
don't
where
know
that-
a lot of things about Sonic.
Okay, that just took a weird turn. All right, so let's talk about some other characters, and maybe we can actually do a yes or no type of take on this for if we really consider them idiots. Let's talk about Dr. Wily. We'll go around the room, and you can give your reason why. Dr. Wily, do you think he is an idiot? We'll start with you, Emily.
Don't start with me. I need to think about this.
All right, we'll start with you, Gamer Keith.
Well, I mean, if we want to go down that route, the only really route that I can kind of think of Dr. Robotnik being like all like slapsticky and whatnot is like, I'm going to bring it up, is like the Saturday morning cartoon version of them. It's like, oh, curse you, like, let me go do this again. And it's like the same formatic formula, so to say, for it. As far as the video game wise for it, again, I think it just kind of adds more so to his character, but he keeps on trying to mess with Sonic the Hedgehog, and it's all like, why do you keep on messing with this blue hedgehog? Clearly he's going to kick your ass every time for it, but I don't know.
Yep. So, pretty much in the same vein, he's constantly making all these robots and getting his ass kicked by the Blue Bomber. Doesn't learn a lesson.
We're starting to see a pattern here.
How about
Dan
you?
always gets his ass kicked, you know.
All right, how about you, Mark?
I don't necessarily think it's an issue of the fact that he consistently gets beat by Mega Man. So much as it is a case of there's a functional point when you deal with the idea of villains where you kind of have to ask the question of at what point do you not just accept the fact that you could make legitimate money such that your talents would allow you to live the rest of your days rich and protected? And if your talents are not usable in that case, I can sort of understand why you would, continue doing stuff. In Wily's case, I think it's more that he's probably just insane. Because there would, like, after you've lost 10 different times, and we also established that, like, Wily inadvertently causes the end of the world, in part, in the Mega Man franchise. After you've lost 10 different times, and you eventually get to a point where you get everyone fucking killed, I think you pretty much have to be, like, criminally insane at that point to keep doing what you're doing. So I don't necessarily think he's stupid. I just think maybe his brains don't work right.
So he's constantly doing the same thing and over again. Oh, hey, he beat these 8 robots. Let's throw another 8 robots at him. Oh, wait, that didn't work. Let's do another 8 robots. Oh, shit.
Well, let us remember that
I mean-
the definition of insane means repeating the same exact task, expecting to get different results.
I mean,
And
that's
I
not
was-
actually true, but
Is it?
no, it's just something somebody made up.
Oh, fair enough.
And I mean, and
I
I'm
have to
just,
take out the fun.
I'm just gonna argue the fact that the thing is, though, most antagonists, whether they are an antagonist in a movie or a comic book series, or like comic book is in like superheroes, or even video games, typically the intention is for them to have flaws, to have some type of flaw that the hero can overcome and beat. So I feel like when it comes to antagonists, I'm always expecting on some sort of level for them to make some type of dumb, idiot decision or have some type of flaw that, as a player, as a protagonist, they can beat out the antagonist and, essentially beat the game. Just like you see Batman beat the Joker or Penguin, things like that, because it's common for the protagonist to always overpower the negative, the antagonist. So I feel like for the purpose of this conversation, there's like a fine line between discussing the stupidity in antagonists in a game as opposed to discussing the stupidity in a protagonist in a video game. When a protagonist in a video game, technically Kratos is quote unquote technically, the protagonist.
So would
but
you say
let's be
then
honest,
that Dr.
he
Wily's crazy or insane or stupid?
Clearly he's insane.
I mean, he's well, crazy and insane are pretty similar, but they're, he's a combination. he's crazy. I mean, he's obviously not, all there, based on some of the decisions he makes, but that's just my opinion. But I think it's also safe to say, to go into the fact that typically I don't expect antagonists to be the smartest things in the world when it comes to a game I'm playing. I'm expecting them to have some type of
hold that thought right there. So speaking
flaw.
of stupid antagonists, let's talk about another one. Crash Bandicoot. I mean, what are your guys' thoughts on him? I mean, somehow he does, yes, beat Dr. Cortex at the end of the day, but, I mean, if you pay attention to his story, he was a failed experiment, and he can't even form simple words, so but he can definitely make an awesome meme, I guess, to some people, so...
Are you talking about Crash or Cortex?
Crash.
Well, Crash wouldn't really be considered an antagonist. Cortex would be.
No,
Crash
antagonist,
would be the
protagonist.
He's talking about boobs.
Crash
I'm
would
talking
be
about
the
boobs in general.
protagonist. Right, well, you
Well,
said
yeah,
antagonist,
Cortex
so I
would
was just
probably be a
correcting
simple... I guess you could say Cortez is a kind of a boob, mainly because, hey, he had a failed experiment, he got rid of it, and he ended up losing to it at the end of the day. So, I mean, how about you, Keith? What do you think of that? Who do you think is the bigger boob, Crash Bandicoot or Cortez?
Well, I mean, I guess I would say Cortex, just because, I mean, just look at him. He's kind of short and kind of funny looking and everything along those lines. And he is, getting beaten by a marsupial of some sort. So I would guess that would make him the boob in this particular situation, so to say, for it. But you know who is actually a really good example of a boob as well as Dan? Is Tingle from The Legend of Zelda.
You know what? I had him on my list. I was probably going to save him for last. But I just want to hear some thoughts on Tingle. Mark, would you like to share first?
Tingle's just weird. I don't think he's an idiot necessarily. I just think he's weird.
He's a boob.
I don't even think he's a boob.
He's a man in his 40s who still thinks he's a fairy. I mean, he could be
I'm a man
half
in
right for all I know, but...
I'm a man in my 30s who collects action figures.
So?
Look, all I'm saying is that, listen, chase that dream, weird green guy.
But he's also on the verge of cultist. He has 3 followers.
He ain't hurting nobody.
But they're growing in numbers.
Exactly.
It's not like he's fucking making Hyrule's answer to Scientology and telling them to cut off from their fucking family. He's just off.
No, we know nothing about David Ankle and Knuckle.
Look, all I'm saying is he's not hurting anybody.
Okay, now let's go to the other end of the field. Let's talk about, idiots, but I guess not in the vein of okay, they're just stupid idiots Cortez and them, people who just keep making dumb mistakes and whatnot. Let's talk about the heroes who are just, everyday average Joes who are just big nitwits. Let's talk about Roger Wilco, Leisure Shoot Larry, Lester the Unlikely, if anybody even knows about that game.
Yes, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, Emily, do you know any of those guys?
From which games?
We got Leisure Suit Larry, Larry Laffer. Did I pronounce that last name right, Mark? I keep forgetting.
It's Larry Laffer, yes.
Larry Laffer. We got Roger Wilco from the Space Quest franchise. Lester from Lester the Unlikely, the nerd. From the SNES game. You don't know anything?
No, I dropped something. I'm trying to find it, but no, I don't think I've played that game actually.
That's a shame. All right, Keith, how about I let you have this one?
Lester the Unlikely. I just overall didn't enjoy the game all that much, even though it was just clearly, yes, he is another perfect example of a boob, of just fell into this particular situation, and because he's a nerd, it happens to be in the video game fashion, so to say, for it. I mean, the game itself, again, I was not highly impressed with, so I can't really discuss it further other than that for it. But yes, he's a boob.
Now, Roger Wilco, Larry Laffer, Mark, maybe you can talk about them guys right there. I mean, they're both a special kind of boob. I'm sure you could expand on that.
I don't 100% know about Larry, just because Larry's not necessarily a hero as such.
Mm-hmm.
You know, his entire journey is, I want to place my penis into a vagina. Like
Get laid.
that's his narrative goal in life. Like he's not trying to save the world. He's not, really trying to do anything to better mankind. He just wants to place his penis into a vagina. As the later games go, into several of them, in fact. Like his goals are not particularly lofty, and he doesn't necessarily accomplish very much. Is he a twit? Absolutely, beyond a shadow of a doubt.
What game is this?
Leisure Suit Larry.
That's the point of all of the Leisure Suit Larrys except for Box Office Bust, which is terrible. The whole point is that Leisure Suit Larry wishes to have sexual intercourse.
Yes.
Sometimes with any woman, sometimes with a specific woman, but sexual intercourse is the end goal of any Leisure Suit Larry game.
I loved Magna Cum Laude. That was hilarious.
I did not think particularly highly of the game's mechanics, but the writing was kind of it was whatever.
It was
I
trying
don't
to
really have
honor
anything to
the
complain about.
original franchise, but it missed the mark. I applaud them for trying, though.
Yeah, as far as Roger Wilco goes, I was not a big fan of Space Quest, so I got nothing, bro.
Well, I guess I'll talk about Roger Wilco. Roger Wilco is pretty much a dim-witted space janitor who somehow manages to stumble into an adventure in every single every single Space Quest game and somehow turn out the hero. Sometimes by chance, sometimes he actually tries to put some effort forth into it. In the case of the first game, the Syrian encounter, he's just the only person on the ship who didn't get shot because he was sleeping in the janitor's closet while everybody was getting killed by the invading alien race. And from that point on, he just crash lands on a planet, goes back out into space, fools the aliens somehow by wearing a mask, and blows the shit up. And he's considered a hero when he returns home. He's literally just a man of circumstance. Like he just happens to be at the right place at the right time and just doesn't care how it happened or why it's even happening. He just goes with the flow. It's pretty much been like that for almost every single game, all 6 of them, as a matter of fact. He's a special kind of stupid, to be truthfully honest. He just somehow manages to walk into one situation into another. And actually, I figured, so let's take a break from actually talking about certain individual characters, but let's talk about, like, what is it about some of these idiots that are so endearing, and what about some of these characters that make them so, so much of a migraine to some of us. I mean, some people here, like, you guys cannot stand Dan Hibiki. You guys can't stand Slippy Toad. Some of us here really like certain idiot characters. Like, some of us like Guybrush Threepwood. Some of us like Larry Laffer because he's just a piece of slapstick humor. Why is that? What is it about these characters that, ring that rub you the right way, don't rub you the right way? Well, how about you, Emily, since you want to talk about it?
Well, I didn't get to talk before, so I feel like
you didn't know who those characters were before.
I know. Sorry. I feel like there's a difference between.
Shame.
Let Emily talk.
Thank you, Mark. I feel like there's a difference between a character like Dan Hibiki who's just plain awful. Like, they're not even, like, just, like, idiots and dumb. They're, like, awful, awful characters that, like, nobody really likes except for a very, very select few who just kind of like them to troll with them, who really knows why. Like, Dan Hibiki is in that category for me. He's just an unlikable, dumb, idiotic character. And then you have antagonists who, they're antagonists we enjoy. They're, like, notable antagonists. Like, you think about, like, the Joker. He's an antagonist, but he's an antagonist that we love, even though he sometimes makes dumb mistakes, just the same as any other antagonist. Same thing can be said of Cortex and Crash Bandicoot. He obviously makes dumb mistakes. Dr. Wily, all that. They make dumb mistakes, but they are awesome antagonists. There's something about them that make them different, that make us, drawn to them, as opposed to characters like Dan who just are plain all around bad. And I think part of that also has to do with storytelling, and character development. I feel like they didn't hit the mark when it came to, the storytelling and character development for a design for Dan, while they more hit the mark with Cortex from Crash Bandicoot and, some of the other people I never heard of. And, that's my point. And I'm not sure if I made my point exactly the way I was thinking my point, but my point is just a distinct difference between the two, and I feel a lot of it has to do with design and storytelling more than anything.
Okay. How about you, Mark? What are your thoughts about why some idiots are loved, some are hated?
It's a combination of character positioning and how they're presented.
Wouldn't that go along with similar to what I was saying?
Right. It's essentially the case of a big part of it has to do with how effective that character is within their own universe and how effective they're meant to be. Take, as an example, Roger Wilco. Roger Wilco is a twit. He's absolutely just not the brightest anything. But Roger is presented as being basically a beneficiary of happenstance in a universe that is kind of weird and dumb. So we can go along with the fact that he's doing reasonably well, even though he's an idiot, because the laws of his universe more or less allow this to be a profitable endeavor, and we can nod and go, sure, whatever, this is funny, I'm willing to go with it. Comparatively, Guybrush Threepwood, despite the fact that he's an idiot, is quite charming and generally enjoyable to follow along with the exploits of. Dan is not necessarily a character you root for in the strictest sense of things, but I like Dan from kind of a spiteful perspective, in that Dan. Dan,
you said I like Dan. Why?
Let the man
because
talk.
I've been saying I like Dan. I like Dan as a character because he's fun to play, because he's awful. I like Dan as a character because he's bad. This is the thing. Dan is never presented as being a threat in any capacity whatsoever. Take Zangief as an example. Zangief is an idiot. Or Paul Phoenix. Paul Phoenix is an idiot.
Oh, don't get me started on Paul. Yeah, but Paul's I hate Paul too.
Right, but it's the thing is that these characters are generally presented as being stupid, but also effective within the confines of their particular universe. Let's not forget, Paul was a co-main character for a couple of Tekkens, and Zangief is still a character that we kind of sort of treat as being like an effective fighter within his universe. And I don't really care about them one way or the other. Their existence is just kind of, okay, they're dumb, but they can punch better than a lot of other people. Fine. Dan is stupid, but the game is 100% in on the joke of Dan being stupid, and the game's like, listen, I don't like this guy either, so we're just gonna make fun of him a lot. And I like Dan from that spiteful perspective of nothing that you do is ever going to be any good, and you're never going to make me feel bad for thinking that that's funny. I don't like Dan as a character. I don't think he's a good person. I don't think that he's, that he's somebody who should succeed in life. I like Dan because he's somebody that the game points to and says, yeah, we don't really like this guy either. So, ha, fuck him. He's fun to laugh at, basically. And you don't feel bad for it because he is the instrument of his own demise.
Okay. Now, what about, let's say, I'll go to you for this question, Keith, and we'll go around. What about characters who are designed to be an idiot for both entertainment purposes or one for, sympathy, but they don't hit the mark? How do you
Johnny
draw the
from
line
Metal
and
Gear.
tell? Yes, go ahead.
Well, I mean, if anything... Do you want to repeat the question? I'm sorry, I cut you off.
What do you think about characters that miss their mark when they're designed to be, stupid for comedic purposes or stupid for, let's say, sympathy purposes? What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, you always like to see that in certain games, and I think one of the more ones that a lot more people could relate to on a certain level would be, what the hell is that guy's name from Gears of War? It was all like, I forget what the hell, that was the character. What's that?
Coltrane?
No, not Coltrane. The actual, like the guy that was like, you could vote whether or not he lived or died.
Yeah, the one dude who was like the fourth guy in his family, and like all the other family members had died, right?
Exactly. It's like something like that. It's like somebody. It's like, wow, you're kind of rooting for him. Maybe he'll get revenge. Maybe he'll become a major character. But then all of a sudden, he kind of misses the mark. But he was kind of set up for failure at the beginning because he was kind of meant to be just this side character meant to die. So
Dreamy says his name is Carmine.
Carmine. Yes, that's it. But is that it? I honestly don't remember. That's how much of a bad mark they missed on it, I guess you could really say. But something like that kind of, it's kind of, you get entertainment value out of it, really is what it is. You kind of try and get, like, a little bit of, like, this, oh, here's something funny, ha, 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 to something that may be very serious going on with the overall theme or story for it. The fact that you can have a little bit of a chuckle. Again, like Johnny from Metal Gear. It's like, oh, he just so happens to be in every single game. And then in Metal Gear Solid 3, he's all like, yep, a whole family of Johnnies. And then Snake is all like, that's a lot of Johnnies.
Mm-hmm. So what about you, Mark? Why do you think it's so hard for some of these characters who are designed to be, let's say, the idiot you're supposed to sympathize with, or the idiot that you're supposed to laugh at? Why do they miss the mark? Like, what is it? What is it they're doing wrong? Are they trying to force the issues on us instead of letting it grow organically? What do you think?
I mean, it really depends on the character, but for the most part, the most common reason that I see why these characters don't work as intended is because the jokes surrounding them aren't particularly funny, or the characters aren't likable enough to earn the win that they get. Like, let's take it as a primary example, Larry Laffer in any of the good Leisure Suit Larry games, which would be, let's say, 1, 2, 3, and 6. Maybe 5, I guess. Actually, no, I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3, and 7, maybe 6. Excuse me. Versus Larry Lovage in Box Office Bust. Both are stupid. Very much so, in fact. But the fundamental difference is in the way that these characters are presented. Larry Laffer is generally presented as guileless. He is not necessarily a good person, but he's not objectively terrible, and he's not really presented as being, bad or anything. You don't hate him, and you want to laugh at him because he does a lot of dumb shit, but for the most part, he just kind of exists. Like, his own creator's just like, this guy's a twit, but he's mostly not the worst person in general, and a lot of the people that he's dealing with are, also jerks in their own way. So it's kind of like, in that particular environment, you can look at Larry Laffer and you can say, you know what, I can laugh at some of this guy's jokes, and this guy is kind of a dunce, but he's all right. Mm-hmm. Larry Lovage, by comparison, is just the worst. Nothing that comes out of his mouth is smart, but also nothing that comes out of his mouth is funny. He's rude, he's ignorant, he's insincere, he's consistently actively trying to deceive people, despite the fact that he is one of the least apt people in the entirety of the franchise. His stupidity is meant to position him as a comedic character, but none of the jokes he tells are funny, and you don't feel particularly good about any of the things that happen because he's also the fucking protagonist. So it's like, if your idiot character is an asshole, they need to very much be the kind of asshole where, you don't care what happens to them. Like, they have to be positioned in a way where the things that happen to them are, like, you're not supposed to care about it, you're supposed to think it's funny. If a character's dumb and we're supposed to like them, or at least, identify with them, they need to actually have likable qualities. Like, I can't root for somebody who's fucking awful. I just can't. You know?
Okay. All right, so anyway, we're coming up to nearly the end of the show right here. So let's name off a few more characters. We'll go around.
Hey!
What? You actually have something to say about this too? I'm sorry.
Wow. Do you guys see this? Like, he just goes to you guys and he goes, well, Emily didn't know the one, so she clearly doesn't have an opinion on the rest of them. Actually, I had something that I could go off of what Mark was saying.
Okay, then feel free to follow up.
I will. Thank you. And it kind of goes along with what you were going to say about a couple more characters, too. I wanted to bring up Kratos as an example of a character who kind of sort of falls into, I feel like, this category. And that's coming from someone that absolutely loves the God of War series. And I love Kratos. However, Kratos is so filled. He's a likable character, but he is literally filled with so much anger and always on this quest for vengeance that he ends up being manipulated more than once. For example, Zeus, and he gets tricked multiple times in other games because of this anger and vengeance that he has. So while he's a very likable character and a very popular character, at the same time he has these flaws that kind of sort of put him, I don't want to say necessarily as in like full-blown idiot per se, but he is, he's able to be manipulated. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that they missed the mark, because they obviously don't miss the mark with Kratos, but I guess I'm just kind of also bringing up a character in general to discuss as well. Because I feel like while Kratos is a very popular character and protagonist per se, he also has the tendency to act out a lot and be over the top because he's filled with so much anger and vengeance, and you see that a lot also in antagonists. So I feel like, in a sense, Kratos is kind of a mixture of both, a protagonist and an antagonist at the exact same time.
But I'm not really seeing how he's blatantly being an idiot. I mean, if anything, he just sounds like a guy who's so blinded by rage and bloodthirst that he just doesn't have a chance to really slow down and have a thought go through his head at all. It sounds more like he's more of an asshole than anything.
Well, I mean, Kratos is obviously known to be a little rough around the edges. He's not exactly the nicest person in, the world. But he sometimes when you are so blinded by vengeance and anger, you will align yourself with people that you think are on the same page as you, because they take that vengeance that you have, that anger that you have towards getting your vengeance, and they manipulate that. They turn that into a negative. They view that as their weakness, like Zeus and Gala did, and therefore he was tricked into believing they were on his side when it turns out at the end they weren't at certain parts of certain games. So I feel like that kind of sort of almost fits into that category in a sense.
Okay. Well, just
does anybody else honestly have anything to say about that? I'm just curious if anybody actually knows where I'm coming from with this, or if I just sound like,
Being an idiot is kind of a multifaceted thing. Like being a buffoon, being a boob is kind of a multifaceted thing. In this case, it's more of a case of the character themselves may be intellectually sound, but they're constantly making stupid decisions. So, like, the character may actually be intelligent, or at the very least presented as having a certain degree of aptitude mentally, but they're constantly just doing the thing that is probably the dumbest thing that they could do at the moment. They are not thinking properly or not thinking at all because they're blinded by something, or because they're just in general making bad decisions.
Right, so wouldn't Kratos technically fall into that category, because he's constantly, in every single game, blinded by his anger and his vengeance.
Oh, absolutely. Kratos as a character is, I would say, like, early Kratos is a likable character. Later game Kratos is a douche. But in general, Kratos almost never makes good decisions. Like in the first game, maybe, but in the later games, he makes a lot of just very dumb decisions because he doesn't think about things because he's too wrapped up in whatever's going on in his head that he is the boob of that game. He is
exactly. All right, I just didn't know if anybody else actually agreed with me on that. I mean, it doesn't mean that I don't enjoy the games. I love them, and I love Kratos. I have a poster of him in my bedroom. He's like literally on the wall. You can't see it, but he's on the wallpaper of my phone.
He's the first thing I see every morning.
Okay, that's just a little weird. But my point is, I'm a big fan of the game, but that doesn't mean that I don't think that he has a huge major flaw in which, in a sense, while he is, intelligent and very smart and knows how to fight and he's strong and he's his own boob. I mean, at least I know I'm not alone in that. Okay.
All right, well, on that thought, I think it's a good time to end our show. Shall we do any shout-outs, any announcements we'd like to make? Keith, anything you want to start off with?
Happy anniversary, BioShock, and after that, not too much at the minute.
You going to be streaming any more Game of Thrones, the game?
Yes, hopefully before the season finale. I still have 4 more episodes left on that, or 4 more episodes of the game left, I should say. So, yes, I'm hoping to get around to that sometime this week because I took a few days off.
All right, how about you, Emily? Any shout-outs you want to give?
I'm bringing back one of my live stream programs. So I'll be announcing that soon, but I haven't announced it yet. So sometime in the next week or so, I'll be announcing it. And you can follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Jamelian. It's just spelled the same as my Twitter. I'm going to be streaming more Tekken 7 and other fighting games and video games in the future as well.
All right, and how about you, Mark? Any thing new on the horizon for you?
Working on a video right now. Don't really know when I'm going to have it up. Whenever it goes up, I'll plug it on the show. Updating the Neo Kobe Pizza podcast on soundcloud.com/MarkBWriting, as well as on basically any service that carries podcasts. iTunes, Google Music. Just search for Neo Kobe Pizza and you'll find it. And I may go back to streaming again this week since there's no pay-per-views on. So we'll see what's going on. You can also follow me on social media to follow along with whatever I might be doing at any point in time, right under my picture here. Also, I do not want to wish a good anniversary to BioShock because fuck that game.
Well, fuck you too, buddy.
Damn, all right.
Yeah, but I actually say stuff that means something.
True.
All right, and there we go, ladies and gentlemen. I have a new game jam this Wednesday. I'm going to be playing some Golden Axe Warrior, which is the latest acquisition I have for my gaming collection. It's been a long time coming. I've been wanting this game for a while, and I finally got it for a good price. I got a new 3 Vets and a Noob this Thursday. It's going to be another tangent filler episode, so we're going to have some special guests in because a couple of our members are not going to be there. So definitely check it out. And this upcoming Monday next week is going to be the return of the Dead or Alive Online Free Step Dodge bi-weekly. So definitely tune in and check it out when you get a chance. This is Fight Club Hubs, and from the rest of us here at GVN Live, thank you and have a good night.
Take it easy.
Bye.
Deuces.